Hello out there. We're live. No, what do I say? We're on the air. Oh, Rumble, come off it. We're having trouble streaming to your destination. Damn it. I knew that was going to happen. Well, no fixing it now. No going back now. As Kevin on Home Alone would say, no turning back now. Okay, well, I guess we got two destinations today then. We got YouTube. I see some comments in there. And we, of course, are on Nostr. Yeah, I'm going to have to get this fixed. I don't know what's going on with that. It kind of stopped working on me halfway through the show yesterday. And then not working today either. So that's unfortunate, but I guess we can deal with it for one day, right? Let me change this color here. What should we go with today? Let's match the hoodie. Pretty close. Okay, so it's going to be a slightly different show today than we're used to for two parties. Of course, we do our daily show, which is getting a facelift later this week. So stay tuned for that. I'll give a quick weather update here. It is freaking cold. It is freaking cold. We're in the dead of winter right now, ladies and gentlemen. I don't know the exact temperature, but it's in the minus 30s, I believe. So if you're anywhere warmer, thank your lucky stars today. But I get to do it inside, so it's nice and warm in here, and I got a nice cup of espresso. So what we're going to do today here, let me update Nostr. We should tell Nostr that we're live. Like I said, we're going to do kind of a hybrid show here, I guess you might say. Because the way we've been doing these, I've been doing them Tuesday afternoons and just a totally different show. But today, because we had a change in schedule and a couple things we got going on, I'm just going to start combining the Tuesday daily show and the Tuesday 88 lessons. So it is going to be slightly different than usual here for both sides of the aisle, but I think it'll be good. I think Tuesdays are going to be my new favorite day of the week here. Obviously, I love the other shows because I can say a lot more things that I don't say on Tuesday and talk about topics that are important to me that I don't want to talk about on here. But these ones are important. So this is 88 lessons. This one's titled How I Plan on Spending or Lending Against My Bitcoin in the Future. And I wanted to start the show with George. Look at this. George became a YouTube member right off the hop. It's 6 a.m. today. And then he upgraded. So he got the original level. I think it's the Bitcoin Journeyman. And he upgraded to the Bitcoin School. So big shout out to George. I don't know if he's in the chat still or not, but he is the newest member of the channel here. Makes a difference. I would say the two things on YouTube make a big difference. I don't really give a shit if you like or subscribe to this channel. I just don't really care. It's kind of a meaningless, it's very fiat. It's a very fiat metric. But people joining the community definitely helps. Super chats definitely help. And comments. If you could, after the video here, if you learned anything, of course, I'm not going to beg you to do this, but if you enjoyed the video, if you think other people should see this and hear this message, then consider just leaving a nice comment saying, I enjoyed it. People are going to learn a lot from this. You know, that actually helps because it's kind of like a review section of Amazon where before people invest their time and energy into a video, they check the comments. So that would be a couple ways. And of course, we got different ways with the QR code and things like that, which I see some zaps coming in on Zapstream already. But if you don't have the financial means, I would just ask that you leave a comment if you enjoyed it, if and only if you enjoyed it. I'm sure there's some people out there who won't enjoy this one, but they're just kind of doomed in life overall, I think. So we got a good crew to start the show today. Good crew on YouTube. And on Nostr, holy man. We got Letha over there. So I'm going to start with some comments here. I'm going to start with kind of the state of the network right now on YouTube, on Bitcoin. And then we'll get into the lesson shortly after that. How does that sound? So we got Letha over on the Zap streams. And she zapped 1,000 units of freedom Thank you, Letha. Mateo's over there. Over there. Mateo's over there. Zapped 124 units of freedom. Good morning. Scotty Boy's here. Scotty said, "Phew, I thought I was going to be only YouTube." No, we're on Nostr. We're on Nostr. Don't worry. I'm going to talk a little bit about Nostr today near the end of the show. So you want to stick around. Actually, two things you want to stick around for at the end of the show today. Well, not at the end, but halfway through, some point. I don't know how long the show is going to be today. We got some time. But I'm gonna tell you about the best investment you can make in 2026. And I was actually going to include that as the title today because it might get more clicks than how I plan on spending my Bitcoin. But I'm going to talk about the best investment that you can make in the year 2026 some point in the show today. I'm going to show you how to do it too. So we got a good one. We got a couple zaps here from Scotty Boy, Letha, and I see Josh is over in the Nostr chat as well. And Sats and Sunsets just zapped 57 with a question mark. I don't know. I don't think this is 57. I'm going to say no. This would be episode number 57 of the Visionary Show, which, like I mentioned, was going to be getting a little facelift starting on Friday. So we do that show every morning at 10 a.m. Eastern time on a couple different platforms. If you want to find it, you will. Let's just say that. I see Praetorian is here, one of the biggest supporters of this channel. Shout out to Praetorian, who sent an early morning zap today. What time was that at, Praetorian? What time was that at? 6 hours ago. 2:48 a.m. What a guy. Sends a zap first in the chat, welcoming George to the school community. So thank you, Praetorian. Okay, so let's we're gonna follow a similar structure in the way of I wanted to give a couple shout outs right off the hop there, but we're gonna follow the typical Tuesday process of the show here, which is I'm gonna go through the lesson and then we'll get to some chats afterwards. So if you do have any questions, if you have any ideas, any discussion points, anything on your mind, just throw it in the chat and we'll address them kind of once we get through the different topics today. So this is the state of the network. What is the time in Bitcoin today? It is 933.103. And the winner of this last block here was Antpool, which was mined 5 minutes ago. So that's the time in Bitcoin. That's the block height, 933.103. And we're going to be talking more about this later in 88 lessons, but I figured it'd be kind of a good introduction and getting people familiar with the mempool and the Bitcoin network. So this is the layer 1 network. Keep that in mind. Whenever we're talking about the mempool, the network, we're talking about layer 1, and that's going to be part of what we're talking about in the lesson today as well. But that means that there's been 933,103 blocks since January 3rd, 2009. So just over 17 years ago now. There's been 933,103 transactions. So that's the Bitcoin time. It's called the block height. And what those are, each block is just a bunch of transactions. You can actually click into every single block dating back to January 3rd, 2009, like I mentioned there, and you can find the Genesis block. And you can see every block that's happened since then. In the early days, there wasn't too many people there. Look, you can see there's one transaction. And that one transaction is the Coinbase transaction, not the company. I'm assuming the company was named after this, but this is the Coinbase transaction. These are the newly generated coins. And so this is in every block. And you can see back in 2009, the miner of this block, they received 50 Bitcoin. And every epoch, or every 4 years approximately, this block reward gets cut in half. So in 2009, it was 50 Bitcoin. And then in like 2013, epoch number 2, it chopped down to 25 Bitcoin, and then 12.5, and then 6.25, and then 3.125, which is where we're at today. So that's the block reward. It's the block reward is a mixture of the subsidy, which is this amount here, the Coinbase transaction, or the subsidy, the fixed amount, plus the transaction fee. So if we go to a newer block, you can actually scroll down and you can see every single transaction that happened within that block. And the miners get to choose. So in this case, it was Antpool, and the miners get to choose which transactions they put into their block. And so whenever you send a Bitcoin transaction on layer 1, it originally we just saw Antpool got another block there. But you can see that whenever you send a transaction, it goes over into the mempool here, all these green blocks. This is the mempool. So it's kind of like a waiting pool, or like a lineup to get into the Bitcoin network, to get put into a block. That's kind of how I see it. And if you want to get in the next block, you got to pay a little bit more. If you're okay waiting, you can let it sit there for a while. You can pay a lower fee. I like thinking about this like a lineup at the bar. So if you had, if there was a big lineup outside the bar, if it was really busy in there, you could shortcut the line. You could go give the bouncer a $100 bill, and you could essentially just walk right in. Or if you got some time, you don't mind waiting, you can just get to the back line, pay your cover fee, and you'll eventually get in there. So that's kind of how I thinking about this. And the busier the network is, obviously, the more demand there is, and therefore the higher fee that you have to pay. And we're going to be talking about fees a little bit today as part of the lesson. So I figured this was a good opportunity here. And so you can see the breakdown of what happened within the block. So again, you can see the timestamp, the hash, the fee span, the total fees, the subsidy plus the fees. So this is what the miner gets paid every block. And these blocks are supposed to come in every 10 minutes. That's kind of what the difficulty adjustment does, is it keeps those blocks coming in every 10 minutes. So if we go to the time chain calendar, this is another really good way to look at this. And so you can see here that we're in epoch number 5. The subsidy, which we were just talking about there, is 3.125 Bitcoin per block. So that's the fixed amount that the miner gets paid every block. You can see that we're at 19.97 million Bitcoin have been mined. So like I mentioned there, every block has a Coinbase transaction. That Coinbase transaction pays the miner the newly generated coins. And so right now, 19.97 million of the total 21 million approximately have been mined, which is 95.13% of the total, 21 million. Oh, look at this. Make a wish. If you got $1 today, you can get yourself 1,111 sats for that. So in other words, you can trade 1 unit of the fakest, most bullshit money that the world has ever seen before. You can trade one of those units for 1,111 or 1,110 now units of the hardest, scarcest, most precious units backed by energy. Requires energy to create these units. And that's the deal of a lifetime. So you can see here, this is kind of a breakdown. I love looking at this part of it here. I'll zoom in a little bit so it's easier to see. So like we mentioned there, Antpool was the winner of the last block. And so that's what their reward was. This is the block reward right here. The subsidy, which is the fixed amount. This is every block, same amount. And then all the transaction fees that were part of that block. So if I sent a transaction and I paid 2,000 sats and my transaction got put into a block, whoever mined that block gets my transaction fee. That's kind of their incentive for mining. And you can see the total here, reward was 3.1445 Bitcoin. And if we go back to the mempool, you can actually see, you can use this as a good resource to find the fiat price of Bitcoin at any given block. So basically what you would do is you take the 284, this is the US dollar amount equivalent, 284,000 divided by 3.144. And that'll give you the price. It should be around 90,000 USD, as we just saw there on the time chain. And let's take a look at the real price of Bitcoin today. 19 ounces of gold. So pretty disappointing, I would say, for Bitcoiners out there, especially in the last year or so. You can see that we're quite a ways down. We pretty much peaked here in 2025. I think there was another point there. 2025, you could trade, you needed 36 ounces of gold for 1 Bitcoin. But even look back to 2021 here, September 2021, 35 ounces of gold for 1 Bitcoin. And right now it is only 19 ounces of gold per Bitcoin. So to me, that suggests that, yeah, it's been a pretty shitty 4 years overall, considering everything that's happened in the big picture and the macro. This is very unreflective of what's going on in Bitcoin right now. But the other thing too, this just tells me that Bitcoin is ready to rip any moment now, any day. I don't know when it's going to happen. I don't have a crystal ball. But to me, this suggests that Bitcoin has massive upside heading into the next year or two here. So that's that's kind of state of the network. That's how we start every show, every day. So I did want to share this too. I did want to share this. Oh, we got a good crew over on Nostr today. Good morning, everybody on Nostr. I see Phoenix Falconer over there. I see Bitcoin Backpacker. I see Joshua. I see Jake. And Josh with a legendary zap here, 8,888 units of freedom. And he said, Luxter, meow twice for staying warm, eh? No doubt, man. Lucky's nice and tucked in and warm in the garage right now. I walked in the garage the other day and it was like a freaking jungle. It was so hot. So he's living well. He's living well. But I wanted to start the show with this today before we get into the lesson. Almost like a why. And I might start doing this, if I remember, at the beginning of every show, just kind of as a reminder of why we're here. Because I'm sure most people who watch my channel are here for different reasons than those who might watch a chart analysis or, the big accounts. I feel like people here are taking this very seriously, and they give a shit about the future, and they're here for more reasons than just the number go up. I feel like the number go up led most people here, but it's the ones that stick around through the years like 2025 who actually want real change in the world. And so what I'm going to share here is a video from, I don't even know who this is, Shannon Joy, but you will not believe this number here. And so we're going to talk about this real quick. This is kind of a why we're here in Bitcoin, why we need Bitcoin.
So here's the number. From 1998 to 2015, it was 21 trillion undocumentable adjustments at DOD and HUD. Okay. But wait, the bailouts between 2008 and 2012 plus were 29 trillion. Okay,
My
so
word.
now 21 plus 29 is 50 trillion. And then the going direct injections after the going direct reset started in 2019 during the pandemic were another 5 trillion. So that's 55 trillion without even counting the quantitative easing. So I always tell people we don't have a financial problem, we have a bank robbery.
Yeah.
Right. And so in 2019 during the pandemic, we're another 5 trillion. So that's 55 trillion without even counting the quantitative easing. So I always tell people we don't have a financial problem, we have a bank robbery.
Yeah.
Right. And so we have in the annual wrap up, we did all.
We don't have a financial problem. We have a bank robbery. That's what's happening. That's what's taking place right now. And I was thinking about this morning, and it's something much bigger than financial that they're stealing from people. They're stealing people's time. They're stealing people's life. They're stealing people's joy. They're stealing people's creativity and their ability to do what they were supposed to do in life, because all that they're focused on is paying the bills, paying their mortgage, paying their car payment, paying for groceries, paying for this. And as everything goes up, everybody just gets poorer and poorer, and they have to work harder and harder. So what does that mean? That means they have less time doing things that they love to do. They have less time to spend with their family and raising their family. They have less time to hang out with their friends and just enjoy this very short time that we have here. And so these criminals have not just stolen from us financially, but they've stolen every single aspect that they can from us. And if we go back to one of these earlier lessons that we did here, you can see the kind of impact that this has on. And so that she said that was 55 trillion. Sorry, I need to take a breath here. We got lots of show left. But it was 55 trillion, and that wasn't even including the quantitative easing, which is what most people think of when they think of the money supply and the inflation. 55 trillion undocumented. Unbelievable. Truly unbelievable. And if that doesn't make you want to just flip a table and, go berserko, I don't know what will. So let's just look at this, because this is, I can't find the spreadsheet that we had here. But we had an example earlier where essentially if you had 1 million units in sats and 1 million units in dollars, and you divided this by the total supply here. So I'm just going to do this. I'm going to keep this very simple for people. I don't want to use too big of numbers here. So we're going to do both. So this is, let's just say this is Bitcoin, just for simplicity here. So the thing about Bitcoin is that you can actually figure out what your ownership of the network is at any given moment. And the other part of that too is that ownership that you have today will never go down. So if you had 1 million sats, you would divide that number out of the number that we need to memorize here, which is 2.1 quadrillion essentially. I believe this is, I've had enough practice writing this, but that's the total. Oh, it's too big. What did I do there? There we go. So that, this is the maximum amount of sats that will ever exist, which is 2 quadrillion, 99 trillion, 999 billion, 997,690,000 sats. That's the total that will ever exist. So all you need to do is figure out how many sats you have and divide it by this number. That's your percentage of the Bitcoin network. And if Bitcoin ends up being a unit of account like I expect it to at some point, that's essentially your ownership of the world. That's your purchasing power of the world. You can figure that out. Take you 2 seconds. And again, most importantly, that number will never, actually, let me put that in bold, never go down. Your ownership will never go down. It can't, unless you lose it. And that's why I feel like most people in Bitcoin need to spend way more attention to actually securing their Bitcoin right now and making sure that their family has it in 50 years when this thing's worth more than we could ever imagine. That's what people should be spending their time on right now. But instead, they're chasing treasury companies, they're looking at charts, they're trying to figure out how to time the market. It's nonsense. But that's why I think it's important to talk about this stuff, to really remind us why we're here. So then the other part, you could do the exact same thing here. So you divide $1 million that you have in the bank account, and this is by the total money supply. Obviously, it's much higher than that. So you have the same ownership there. Again, this number will never go down. Your ownership of this network cannot go down. It's mathematically impossible. In fact, it'll probably go up as people lose their private keys. But then my theory is that technology will advance enough to clean up those old wallets and move that Bitcoin and give them new ownership. So it's important just to use this number. I think that that's the number to use. Even though I think realistically your ownership will actually go up over time, this is just the best way. And if you use this, then your number will never go down. But all of a sudden you have this number here, and they add, oh, what happened there? Equals, it's kind of hard to do this stuff live in case you guys and girls didn't know. Times or plus, let's just use 1. So they print another $1 trillion. Oh, that's not right. Not $1. We want to print, what would that be? I don't know. Let's just say 100,000. Again, we're just trying to keep this very simple. And then they print another $100,000, or in this case, 55 trillion. And you can see that this number just keeps going down. And so over time, this shrinks and shrinks and shrinks and shrinks. So you have that same amount of dollars sitting in that bank account, but its purchasing power, because they're creating so much money, both through quantitative easing and these undocumented insane amounts of numbers, they're just stealing from you. So that's why we're in Bitcoin, because of this reason, is that it doesn't matter which dipshit politician is in power. It doesn't matter who's running the central banks. None of that matters. It's a completely different system. And whatever ownership you have in this network today, nobody can steal that from you. If you do it properly, if you take self-custody of that Bitcoin, nobody can take that from you. And nobody can debase you. Nobody can steal your time. Nobody can steal your joy, your energy, your life, your creativity. Everything that we were born to do here has been robbed from us by these reptiles who are just printing, telling us about some, but not telling us about most of it. Okay, I better take a breath here. Good morning, everybody. But, I've been doing this show for over 2 years now. The first show was on November 17th, 2023. And I haven't missed many days. And the reason I haven't missed many days is because it's pretty easy to get out of bed when you're fighting against this. When you believe in something and you want to do everything that you can while you're here to push that forward and to help kids, the average people who need it, get away from that system. That's just ever since you've been born, the day you've been born, you've been absolutely robbed from. I don't care what age you are. The older you are, the more you've been stolen from and the more pissed off you should be about this. Okay, anyways, I better be careful here. So I read the title already. It is How I Plan on Spending or Lending Against My Bitcoin. Couple shout outs here before we begin the lesson. Number one, Gigi. Gigi wrote a book called 21 Lessons, which inspired this series here called 88 Lessons. So his was a very philosophy-focused approach. One of my favorite books in Bitcoin, one of my favorite guys in Bitcoin. The 88 Lessons is a little bit different. It's more technical. It's more mindset-focused. It's walking somebody through. If somebody started this course with zero knowledge of Bitcoin, by the end of it, they would have Bitcoin in self-custody and they would have the ability to store their own private keys, which is essentially the ownership of Bitcoin. Sailor had a quote a while back. He said, people spend 100,000 hours earning money. They should spend at least, I forgot a word there. They should spend, I went 12 weeks. You guys didn't even tell me I missed a word there. They should spend at least 100 hours learning how to keep it. So that's what this course is about. 88 lessons. Somebody should be able to pick this up on lesson number 1 all the way through 88 and become a Bitcoiner. Pretty simple. And of course, shout out to you. We're on YouTube today. Unfortunately, we're missing one of our streams. We're on YouTube and Nostr. And big shout out to anybody who's watching today. Because Bitcoin's not an easy road. It's not an easy journey. It's a very lonely journey from the day you get into it. Unless you're blessed and fortunate enough to have a friend or family member that can kind of walk you through it and be there with you. But even so, it's a very difficult journey. It's difficult to say, you know what? Even though it's easier, more comfortable over here in society, I'm going a different road. And I don't care what happens because it's worth it to me. And again, people first get into Bitcoin usually for the number go up. They want to see their wealth, their investments go higher, which Bitcoin historically has been pretty good for. But the ones who stick around, they're the ones here for the revolution. And the cool thing about this revolution is we don't have to fire a single bullet. All we have to do is take our money and leave. Take our time and leave. Take our energy and our attention and just leave. That's it. Because that whole system is just a complete illusion from head to toe. It's completely backwards of nature, and it's completely backwards of how things should be. So it seems easy, it sounds easy, but as most people know who are watching the show today, it is the furthest thing from easy. So shout out to you. I want to give a couple of shout outs here. We gave George a shout out for new members. I want to give George a big shout out for being our newest member today. Like I said, we don't have any sponsors here. I don't even run ads during these shows. So I think it's important because, as I have here, no sponsors and therefore no filter. But if you do have the ability to, one really good way that you can support the channel and help us remain sponsor free is by joining the channel as a member. So we actually had quite a few people join in the last week here. I want to give a couple shout outs. In the last 3 days, actually, no, I can go a full week here. So we had Quom, which I think we talked about last week. That was 6 days ago, it says, though. We had Sergio join. We had Peter join. We had Runta Ranton join. And of course, George, we had to join. So it's a great way to support the channel here, like I mentioned there. So if you don't have the financial means, just leave a nice comment. That's it. If you do have the financial means, I would appreciate it. Join as a member, and it's not just a join for a support kind of thing. I've actually been sharing every single video from Bitcoin School on YouTube for the members there. So what that means is I do a 15 or 20 minute video every single day talking about a different topic within Bitcoin. And I share it. I share it on our school page. I share it on the Patreon, and I share it on YouTube now. So if you are a member of YouTube, you actually get access to all these videos. And look at this, Sats and Sunsets. I just saw this pop up. I don't know who received these memberships, but they're lucky because, again, this isn't just a support tier. This isn't just paying for a coffee for me. You're getting the full Bitcoin School every episode this year. There's going to be 365 episodes this year. So if you are a member on YouTube or school or Patreon, you're going to get to see all those. And kind of the purpose of that course, Bitcoin School, is for Bitcoiners to essentially, wherever they're at today, by the end of the course, have themselves have their Bitcoin in a multi-sig setup, which to me is the highest form of security that you can have. You have devices in different places. You have no Bitcoin at your house. You have no single point of failure. And that's the purpose of this course. So again, if you're serious about this stuff, I would encourage joining. So shout out to everybody who joined Bitcoin School. I think we have 140 members in there now. I've had like 60 in the last 2 weeks. And that place is buzzing. So that's just bitcoinschool.com/88 sats. You can find that pretty easily. And I'll have links to all this stuff. Anything I talk about throughout the show today, I will have links for you. So thank you, Sats and Sunsets. That's very helpful. Very helpful. And whoever got those, you're in luck. Okay, game plan today. We're going to do the lesson. We're going to do some Q&A if there's any chats and stuff we're talking about in the live chat. We're going to do our lightning list update, weekly smash buy, and maybe some free Bitcoin. And also in here, the best investment that you can make in 2026, I'm going to talk about later. Okay, and just a couple more shout outs here. I talked about the school already, but Bitcoin Citadel, this is a group of 8 people, 8 Bitcoin educators, and we can help you with your Bitcoin security, setting up a hardware device, setting up a multi-sig, encrypting your backups, setting up a privacy phone, setting up a privacy laptop, getting a security audit of your Bitcoin. Lots of stuff, bitcoincitadel.net. And I would say that I'm going to take this off because this is an important one. Bitcoincitadel.net. I would say that we have the best form of security that exists today. There might be better ones that come in the future. I don't know. Again, I don't have a crystal ball. But the best Bitcoin security protocol or setup that exists today, we have at Bitcoin Citadel. There's nothing that comes close to it. There's really not. There's companies who do something similar, but nothing like we do, because ours is fully the thing that makes ours different is that it's fully private. There's no KYC. We don't even need to know your name to help you with this. And it is the best form of security and fully non-KYC. So if you're somebody who has a bit of Bitcoin and you want to make sure that you have it safe, you remove yourself as a single point of failure, and that Bitcoin will be passed on to your kids and their kids and their kids, just set up a call with me and we'll explain it with you and we can proceed if it makes sense for you. So there we have it, folks. Let's get into the lesson today. Oh, wait, let me find it here. I got a flow chart today. We always have spreadsheets, but I got a flow chart. It's actually, we're going to make the flow chart up as we go here. So let me just check, make sure I didn't miss anything too big in the Rizful. We did. Oh, we got a DCA here from Duncan, 3315. That's a great number. And once again, thank you to Josh. Some big support donations today. So I'll keep an eye out on that. I see BTC Backpacker and Scotty Boy sending some zaps as well over there. So thanks, fellas. Okay. So here we go. Lesson number 13. And today we're going to be talking about how I plan to spend or lend against my Bitcoin in the future. And there's a couple different things we need to talk about here because the decisions that you make today are actually going to have a huge impact on your future in Bitcoin, whether you know it or not. And I feel like most people, the biggest problem I find in Bitcoin is that there's so much information out there online, on YouTube, with AI, with everything. You can find pretty much whatever you're looking for free. The problem, though, is that people don't know what they're looking for. They don't know what questions to be asking. They don't know what they don't know, essentially. And so that's the purpose of these 88 lessons. That's the purpose of our Bitcoin School course, is to kind of fill the gaps for people. And so one of the things I think that people miss most here is how to structure your Bitcoin. And I've kind of been through the lesson of this already. I learned a very difficult lesson myself. I lost about 250,000 sats, which is the equivalent to about $250 US today-ish. But the sats are much more meaningful to me. And I made a mistake in this area. And that's what I'm going to be talking about today. It cost me a significant amount because, again, I had been in Bitcoin for 2 or 3 years, honestly. Probably 2 years. I was in Bitcoin for 2 years before I realized the importance of this. And again, I already paid for the price for it. And so part of these lessons here and part of the Bitcoin School are to help me explain the lessons that I've learned financially and otherwise so that you don't have to make them. And to me, that's truly invaluable. So with these different things, there's the community aspect and whatever, but like having this knowledge, having this information, knowing what questions to ask, knowing what order to do things in, and knowing what's missing from the guides and from the AI stuff could literally be the difference between you having your Bitcoin in 50 years from now and not, even 10 years from now. And lessons like this that I've learned, I want to share with other people so that you don't have to make those same lessons. And so that's one of the ones we're going to be talking about today. So again, how you structure your Bitcoin today will have a massive impact on how you spend it in the future. So I want everybody to kind of start with the question of, why are you in Bitcoin? We just watched Catherine Austin Fitch, or whatever her name is, say that the government in the US printed $55 trillion worth in the last 25 years or whatever it was. That's a pretty big why. But like, why are you holding Bitcoin? What are you going to use it for in the future? And I think that most people have this idea in their mind of how many Bitcoin they want to get to, whether it's like 1 million sats, 10 million sats, 50 million sats, one whole coin, which is going to be incredibly freaking rare to be a whole coiner. Maybe 10 Bitcoin. What's the number? I think most people have that number in their head, but they haven't really thought through why they want that. What's that going to be worth in 20 years from now, 50 years from now, when they retire? Why do they want that number? What are they going to use their Bitcoin for at some point in the future? Because we're not here to accumulate as many sats as we can. That's not the game. The game here is that we have a very finite amount of time here on this planet, and we want to enjoy ourselves. So for the most part, people are holding Bitcoin to spend at some point in the future. And so that's what we're going to be talking about today. What you need to be thinking about today when you actually go to spend that Bitcoin in the future. And so the first step, I think, for most people here is ask yourself, why are you stacking Bitcoin? Why are you holding your wealth in Bitcoin? Why? I mean, you can't just say because it's the best performing asset of the last 10 years. Like, what are you doing it for? Do you want to continue working and just live as you are? Because you might not need that much Bitcoin. Do you have a very comfortable amount of fiat and other investments, and Bitcoin is just kind of for your grandkids? Are you planning to save as much as you can and then hopefully retire in the next 10 or 15 years or less? You got to figure that out. Why are you stacking Bitcoin? Because the answer to that, why I'm asking you this question, is because it's going to have a big impact on how you structure your Bitcoin today. So I didn't want to put UTXO in the title or in the thumbnail or in the discussion leading up to this, but we're going to do kind of like an intro to UTXOs today in a way. And again, just think of a UTXO as a chunk of Bitcoin. That's all you need to know about it. It's just a chunk of Bitcoin. So if I sent you 1 million sats right now, if you gave me your wallet address starting with BC1 and you said, here's my address, and I sent you 1 million sats, you would have 1 UTXO in your wallet and you would have 1 million sats. If I split it up, you have the same wallet there that you sent me. If I was like, okay, well, I'm going to send you 1 million sats, but I want to make sure I do it right. So I'm going to break it up into a couple different things. I'm going to send you 300,000 sats and then 300,000 sats and then 400,000 sats. So at the end of that, what your wallet would look like is you would have 3 UTXOs and you would still have 1 million sats. So you get the idea here. Every time you receive Bitcoin into your wallet, that creates 1 UTXO. And we talked about the mempool. Remember, let me bring that up here. That's always dangerous, just randomly pressing an internet share screen button. So this is what you need to know about UTXOs at a very basic level. When you're sending a Bitcoin transaction, what you need to focus on is the smallest amount of data that you can send, because that's all that Bitcoin is. It's very well secured data. The units require physical energy to create, but Bitcoin is just data. It lives on the internet. It's just data. And so whenever you send somebody Bitcoin, what you want to do is you want to minimize the amount of data that you're sending to that person. And every UTXO that you're sending as part of your transaction adds more data to your transaction. So within each one of these blocks here, there's only so much data available. There's only so much block space in each block. You can see here the transactions, 2589, 3587. There we go. Sorry. 2816. So all these transactions are just data. And each one of these blocks has a maximum amount of data that can fit inside of it. And that's what creates the scarcity. The scarcity of getting your transaction from the mempool and put into a block. And so whenever you do that, you want to make sure that you have the minimal amount of UTXOs or data possible, so it's going to cost you the least amount of money. So when we're talking about UTXOs, that's kind of what it's for. And that's the transaction fee aspect of this. So to minimize your future transaction fees, you would want to minimize the amount of UTXOs that you have in your wallet. Okay, so then what would happen here? If we go back to this example here, this is just kind of painting the picture of what a UTXO is, or a chunk of Bitcoin. So now let's say that your wallet here, it has 3 UTXOs, like I said, 300,000, 300,000, 400,000, for a total of 1 million sats. If you sent that Bitcoin back to me, I would have, if you put them all together, if you combine the 300, the 300, the 400, sent it all into 1 million sat transaction, now I would have 1 UTXO and 1 million sats. And of course, I'm missing there's another component to this, but I don't want to overcomplicate things here. There's transaction fees that you would pay too. I would have paid transaction fees. You would have paid transaction fees. So I would have a little bit less than 1 million sats in here. So this is what you need to know about UTXOs, is that every time you receive Bitcoin into your wallet, that creates 1 UTXO. And for future transaction fee hell, which is what I ran into there. When I had 250,000 sats that I had to pay, it's because I had 200 UTXOs in my wallet. And I'm going to explain what happened there. For future transaction fee hell, you want to minimize the UTXOs in your wallet. So what I did, and again, this is about 2 years into my Bitcoin journey. So if you're just kind of new here and you're like, Jor, I don't know what the hell you're talking about, that's okay. At least you're equipped with this somewhat basic information of what a UTXO is. So I'm going to give you some practical advice here. So what happened to me? What happened to me? How did I burn 250,000 sats? So I was doing what I was told to do. I was DCAing. Every Sunday, we bought some sats. And every Sunday, we sent those sats to our wallet. Okay? So that's good advice. You know, somebody told me, hey, Jor, you don't want to try to time Bitcoin. Do the DCA strategy. You just buy the average. Do it every week. Do it consistently. Build it into a habit. I did everything right. Except my problem was I was sending these sats to my wallet. So let's say I did this for a year, which wasn't far off. We did this for a year. And so that, again, if you did it every Sunday for a year, at the end of the year, we had 52 UTXOs in the wallet. And that is UTXO hell, transaction fee hell. So when I went to send that transaction in the future, once I realized the damage that I did, when I went to consolidate in the future, I had to pay basically the transaction fee based on how busy the network is, times 52. 52 times 52. So let's say that if I just had 1 UTXO and I sent that one little piece of data that I sent to somebody, and let's say it cost me 1,000 sats for 1 UTXO. So what this would have cost me is 1,000 sats times 52. Because again, you're just moving data. Whenever you send a Bitcoin transaction, you're just moving data. And your goal here to minimize your future transaction fees is to send a few amount of data as possible. That's going to minimize your transaction fee. If you have 1 UTXO that you're sending from, it's going to cost you very little. If you have 52 UTXOs that you're combining to send into a transaction, that's going to cost you a lot. And that's the mistake that I made here. So that's what you want to be thinking about with UTXOs. And so kind of just for best practice, what I would say here, and I was going to talk about something else. I'm not sure we're going to have time today, though. You know what? We'll do it. We'll do it. So my advice to you, do not move. Oh, it's even bold. Wow, I didn't do that. Do not move less than 100,000 sats to your wallet. Oh, that's the other thing I want to talk about here. Privacy. Do not move less than 100,000 sats to your wallet. So if you bought like $50 worth of Bitcoin on an exchange and you were really excited because you're supposed to be taking self-custody, not your keys, not your coin, all that stuff, and you move that over, that's a bad thing. Depending on when you need it, though. That's the other thing. And that's actually what I want to talk about next episode, hopefully. But so you don't want to move less than 100,000 sats to your wallet. And so let me walk through this here, because we have the transaction fees. This is kind of the first part that we need to focus on. Like I mentioned at the start here, you need to focus on two things here: privacy and your transaction fees in the future. And every video that I've ever watched on YouTube or anything else, they focus only on this transaction fee aspect of it. But you also need to be concerned with your privacy in the future. And I'm going to explain that now. So we kind of got the transaction fee aspect covered here. You want to minimize your UTXOs. So when you go to spend that Bitcoin in the future, you don't have to pay a bunch of fees. It's really as simple as that. There are ways that you can manage this after, like you can consolidate them like I did. I had to pay a very large fee to do that. But I basically turned 52 UTXOs into one UTXO. That's a consolidation. And it cost me 250,000 sats. So that's what most people focus on here: transaction fees. And they just kind of leave it there. They're like, just have the biggest UTXOs that you can in your wallet. Don't worry about anything else. And that's horrible advice. Horrible advice. And so I'm going to kind of explain why that is. And it has everything to do with privacy. So that's why you might see other YouTube channels saying, don't move your Bitcoin off the exchange until you have like 1 million sats, which again is going to be good for transaction fees, but bad for privacy in the future. And let me explain why. So Bitcoin is very transparent, very transparent. And so I'm going to kind of walk through this. So Bitcoin is very transparent. You can follow transactions backward and forward. And so let's stick with our 1 million sats. Let's say that you took the advice of somebody on YouTube, which ironically, I'm on YouTube as well. But again, I've never heard anybody else talk about the privacy implications, but this is going to be a big thing in the future for people. So you can follow it backwards and forward here. So let's use our 1 million sat UTXO. Let's say you took their advice and you're like, okay, I'm going to wait, even if it's a couple months. I'm going to let my transaction build up so I get 1 million sats. And I'm only going to do that. So then what your wallet looks like is you have a bunch of these 1 million sat UTXOs. Here, let me do this a different way. So let's walk through a typical example of this just to make it real. So someone is buying Bitcoin on an exchange. And so let's say that every month they buy 1 million sats. So we have January, we got 1 million sats. February, we got 1 million sats. March, we got 1 million sats. April, this guy or girl does not miss every month. May, you know what? They got their tax refund back. They're buying 2 million sats. June, 1 million sats. So this is what it traditionally looks like for people when they buy Bitcoin. And so they buy it on an exchange and send to their wallet. So they're doing everything that they should do right now. Everything that the guy on YouTube told them to do. They're taking self-custody of it. They're not buying amounts smaller than 1 million sats at a time. They're doing everything that they should do. So what does the wallet look like at the end of June? That's a question. I want you to answer that right now. You don't have to put in the chat, but just in your own head. What does the wallet look like on July 1st? What does the wallet look like on January 1st? Or sorry, July 1st? How many sats? I'm pretty sure people can do basic math with that. But how many UTXOs? So we got 6. We got 6 UTXOs making up this wallet for a total of 7 million sats. So if you went into your Sparrow wallet, that's what it would look like. If you clicked on the UTXOs, you'd see 6 UTXOs in there. And the balance at the top would say 7 million sats. So again, seems pretty good. This seems like a pretty good strategy here because you're buying Bitcoin, you're taking self-custody of it, you're not sending it unless you have 1 million sats. But the problem with this is that at some point, these sats are going to be worth a lot. So that's why you have to think about this stuff now and basically plan out how you intend to spend or lend against this Bitcoin in the future, because it matters, right? And so let's say that we get to a point, we get to 1 sat, $1 parity at some point in the future. And this could be years away, it could be decades away, doesn't matter. It's not the point. But again, this is a long-term hold. So if you're only planning for like the next couple months, it doesn't make any sense. You're holding Bitcoin for a very long time. This is a long-term asset, kind of like a piece of land. So yes, at some point we are going to get to 1 sat, $1 parity, assuming, as Jeff Booth says, Bitcoin stays decentralized and secure. We will get there. It's math. So then you have $1 million worth of purchasing power. You have $1 million worth of purchasing power in each UTXO. And so let's say you want to spend some Bitcoin. You want to go on let's say that there's a new CDU. I think there's more people from the US than Canada. I was going to say Skidoo, but we'll do CDU. You want a new CDU, and it costs you 50,000 sats. And so you want to pay for it, right? You want to pay this guy. You're going to pay in Bitcoin. So this is kind of like the equivalent of somebody with $1 million in their bank account. They send an e-transfer or a money transfer to somebody else for a CDU, for a house, for a shed, for whatever. You're paying somebody. You got 1 million sats in your bank account, and you send them that money transfer. The way that Bitcoin works is that they would be able to look back and see what the balance in your bank account was. They won't be able to see this full balance here of 7 million sats because these are all in different wallets, hopefully, like we talked about last episode. But they will be able to see that you have 1 million sats in that UTXO because they can follow it backwards. Right? So the transaction would look like this. The transaction would be, you have your 1 million sat UTXO, which is the minimum that you have in your wallet, and you send 50,000 sats for the CDU. So then you get, what would that be? 950,000 sats back to the return address, goes back into your wallet. But the seller would be able to see that you had 1 million sats in that UTXO. So that's a huge privacy concern, right? It's going to put a huge target on your back. All because you did what you thought you were supposed to do back in 2026. You were buying Bitcoin, you were taking self-custody of it. You were only doing 1 million sat UTXOs, but now you're trapped. And again, you might say, well, Jor, then I would just pay him in cash, whatever that is. But okay, but the exact same thing would happen here if you needed a loan for $100,000. You want to go buy a new house and you have a bunch of big UTXOs and you go to the bank. Basically, whatever UTXO that you have there, that's what you're going to dox to the bank. So even though you might only need like 500,000 sats for a house, the bank's going to see the total amount of Bitcoin that you had in that UTXO. And if you're really stupid, and not stupid, because again, this is all kind of just brand new to the world. There's no blueprint here. There's no guide on how to do Bitcoin. That's why I do these shows, to try to help people from the lessons that I've learned. But the worst thing is if you had all these UTXOs in a single address, that would be even worse than the situation I'm talking about here in terms of your privacy. Because then they'd be able to follow back and see, hey, Jor had 7 million sats in that wallet that he sent it from. That address that this came from had 7 million sats in it. And again, it doesn't seem like much today, but again, you can't think about today. You got to be thinking about the future and what the world's going to look like when you actually go to spend or lend against your Bitcoin. So that's why wallets like Tangem with a single receive address are a massive problem for privacy. Massive. Because it's going to be the exact same as this, except on steroids. Because they're not only just going to be able to look back and see your balance in that UTXO, they're actually going to be able to see the full balance in your wallet. So you have to find balance. You have to find balance between reducing future fees and keeping your privacy. So that's why I say my suggestion is always just to have a good mix. Have a good mixture of UTXOs. Some big, some small. Don't just do the same amount every time. Don't do 1 million sats as your minimum. I think that's stupid, and I think that's very bad advice, because whoever's telling you to do that is not considering your privacy in the future. And again, it's not just going to be with you buying and selling things with Bitcoin. It's also, if you ever want to take a loan against your Bitcoin, they're going to be able to see how much you had in that UTXO. Or if you're reusing addresses, they're going to be able to see how much you have in that wallet. And that's a problem. It is for me anyway. Some people might not care, but that's a huge problem for me. So a couple different things I would say. I think I'm going to leave it there. That's enough for today. I did have another couple things to talk about, but we'll maybe save that for next week, because this is a very important part of Bitcoin. And I feel like a very small percentage of Bitcoiners actually understand what's going on here. And like I said, this took me years. This took me years to figure out in Bitcoin, because I didn't have anybody. I didn't have anybody telling me this stuff. So again, even at a time where all this information was available on YouTube, all this information was available online, I didn't know it, because I didn't even know it was a thing that I need to know. So I learned my lesson. Hopefully everybody in the chat here will not make the same mistake that I made. But I'm going to give you a couple different follow-ups here. So the first thing, I have a free course. I just released all 11 episodes, I think, on the weekend. I have a free course for you. If you're someone new to Bitcoin, and when I say new to Bitcoin, I mean like within the last 2 years. Because like I just said there, I was in 2 years in Bitcoin before I understood the significance and importance of UTXOs. So I have a free course for you. And I'll put a link. I'll maybe share a link right now. You know what? Let's just look at it. Let's take a look. Let's take a peek. Okay, let me bring this down for 1 sec and I'll get on the right page here. So this is completely free course. I should definitely have charged for this, but my thoughts on this is like, this is just such important information for people that I just want it out there. I want people to have this information, because again, my mission here is to get as many average people in Bitcoin with exposure, but also with their private keys in 20 years. That's the difference between the vision of my future is a bunch of average people with significant amount of wealth. And so if this is just a small part in that, I think that's enough for me. So this took me a full day to do. And I'm going to share it with you for free. How do you like that? You're welcome. You're welcome. So let me find it here. Collection. All right, here we go. So here's the course. It's an 11-day course, and all the episodes are about 10 or 15 minutes long. So it talks about the roadmap, the options for buying, how to buy, how much do you need, Bitcoin versus Lightning, setting up a Lightning wallet, earning Bitcoin, setting up a Bitcoin wallet, backing up your keys. If nothing else, you should watch day number 9 here. I know for a fact that, I shouldn't say that, but I would assume that more than 80% of the people watching this show now and later don't really understand how to store their private keys properly. And then best practices, I would say 9 and 10 for sure. And so this is completely free for everybody here. And so I'm going to put this in the chat. I'm going to have a link to this in the pinned comments for anybody who's watching later. And so that's number one. Watch the free course. I don't know if there's any information on UTXOs in there. I know that there is in the 21-day course, which is the paid version of that. But either way, you're going to have some good information there. So I have a free course for you. What was the other thing here? Bitcoin School. We're probably going to spend, again, Bitcoin School is essentially me doing a Bitcoin video every day. Saturday, Sunday, there's no days off here. I did this in 2025 too. We did 365 episodes of Bitcoin stuff. So it's January 20th today. We already have 21 episodes in there. So consider joining Bitcoin School because UTXOs will be a hot topic. We'll probably spend 3, 4, 5 episodes talking about it. And again, this is imperative that you have this information here. So consider joining the Bitcoin School. You can do it either through school or you can join as a member on the YouTube channel, the Bitcoin School tier. And that's going to get you access to all these videos. So if you can commit to 10 or 15 minutes every day, watch the video from Bitcoin School, you're going to be in a much different place at the end of it than you are today. You're going to sleep much better at night. Because again, it does not matter how much Bitcoin or how many sats you have today. The only thing that matters is how much Bitcoin your family has in 50 years from now. And so it's up to you. You got to build the foundation. So this is an investment, both of your time and money. If you join the school, this is free for you. But you have to invest time. You have to invest money. And the less time you have, the more money you have to invest. The more time you have, the less money you have to invest. But you have to take this seriously. 3 would be, I have a UTXO template. I have a UTXO template that I'm going to be sharing with the Bitcoin School. But if you want a copy, email 88sats@proton.me and just put in the subject line just to make sure I see it and I can send it to you. UTXO template. And it's pretty basic, but it'll just kind of give you a good outline and good format that you can kind of structure. And the last thing that I want to say here is do not panic. And I'll probably say this a couple more times throughout the UTXO conversations that we have, but don't panic. I think panicking is the worst thing you can do. Just take a breath. Even if you were like me and you had a UTXO hell and you've been doing things wrong, it's okay. It's fixable. You're just going to have to pay, but it's fixable. So don't panic. And the other thing I would say too is like, I'll give two examples here just to really drive home the point here. So if you have too many UTXOs like I had, just wait. Just wait. Or you can consolidate, but you can just leave those UTXOs as they are. Because the longer you look out here into the future, the more valuable those UTXOs are going to be. So you might not use them for the next 10 years, 15 years, but even if you had a 20,000 sat UTXO, and again, going back to the 1 sat, $1 parity, that's $20,000 worth of purchasing power one day. So it's not just dust. So just wait and build bigger UTXOs going forward. And if you were taking the advice of everybody on YouTube who says only do 1 million sats and that's it, that's the minimum. If you have too few UTXOs, also just wait and create smaller UTXOs going forward. Right? So either way, there's no panic here. If you have a bunch of big ones, just start making small ones. If you have a lot of UTXOs, just start making bigger ones. And so you want to have a good mixture. And like I said, if you want a copy of this UTXO template in terms of how many UTXOs and what they should look like based on your stack, it's a pretty good resource. Even if you're not really understanding what I'm saying right now, I think that it's worth your time to get a copy of that. I'm going to give it to you for free too. If you want to send some value back for it, that's fine. But I think that's it. The last thing I will say before I go here, because I'm going to spend a little bit more time talking about this soon, but this is our lightning list. So this is kind of like it's like a mailing list. And I actually sent out a bunch of sats on the weekend. So whoever's on this list, you should have received some sats from me. But basically what it is I'll just send out some info if I have something to promote or something new coming out, something that I want you to know. I'll send you a zap. So you'll have Bitcoin and a message. It's just like a way better version of a mailing list. So if you want to be part of this, I think I think we have like 40 some people. Yeah. And I haven't fully updated this yet. So once we hit 88, I'm going to cap it because I don't want to be sending sats it's going to bankrupt me. So I'm going to cap this at 88 people. And I'll probably just randomly drop some people off. If there's people that want to join, I might have like a wait list or something. Who knows? But if you want to be part of the lightning list, just shoot an email to 88sats@proton.me. So that's two things. If you want the UTXOs or if you want to be added to the lightning list, all you need is a lightning address. And I must say, I'm thinking that a lot of people who have lightning addresses here didn't have these like a month ago before this 88 lesson started. I think there's a lot of people now who have Wallet Satoshi addresses, RizFull addresses, and it makes me happy because it means that whatever I'm talking about here, whatever I'm spending my time on, is actually making some sort of an impact here. So, live weather check as we round out. Pretty nice looking now. Looks like there's some sun in the sky for today. Still freaking cold though. I think this is the nicest day of the week, and it's still like minus 30. Minus 28, not bad. But yeah, this is the nicest day of the week. Minus 31 on Friday, plus the wind chill. Okay. Well, that's lesson number 13. So we're going to keep doing these. I didn't, when I had the idea to do these, I didn't really realize that this would stretch over 2 years. But we're going to do them. And we got a lot of stuff still to talk about. So again, Tuesday mornings, 10 a.m. Eastern time. It's going to be on YouTube. It's going to be on Nostr and hopefully Rumble next week as well. But we do these shows every day. I do a daily show every single morning, Monday to Friday, 10 a.m. Eastern time. And that's on both Rumble and on Nostr. And, but yeah, even if it takes us 2 years to do this, I think that that's perfect because you can't learn Bitcoin by watching a 2-hour video. You can't learn Bitcoin by reading a book. You have to learn Bitcoin by exposing yourself to it consistently every single day and gaining these touch points along the way where you might not know what a UTXO is, but this is the first touch point for you. And then in 6 months, when we talk about it again, you'll be like, oh, okay. And then when you go to send a Bitcoin transaction or receive Bitcoin and look at your wallet, these are all touch points. And then one day it's going to click, but it doesn't happen after you watch it one time. And that's why I did the 365 course in 2025. And that's why I'm doing the Bitcoin School course in 2026, because you have to take a very long-term approach with this stuff. Several touch points consistently. That's why I do it every single day, Monday to Sunday. No, there's no days off for Bitcoin School. And that course starts officially on March 15th. March 15th, 2026, it officially begins. So essentially you get 2.5 months of not free, but bonus content. Kind of the, what would you call it? The foreplay. The foreplay for the course. 2.5 months of that. And again, you can join on School right here. You can become a member on YouTube, or you can join the Patreon. You're going to get access to the Bitcoin School. So that's it. If you're watching this on Saturday, I hope you're having a great day today, and we'll talk to you very soon. And for everybody else, the show has just begun. So I feel like there might be some good questions today. I got a feeling this is going to be a good show today. And I see we lost like 30 people in the last 2 minutes here. So they must think that the show's done. But we're just really getting started here. So they might join us again in a couple of minutes once they realize that, hey, we're still live. We got a lot of other stuff we want to talk about here. But if not, heck 'em. Okay, so what are we going to do here? Let's check out Nostr. What's going on over on Nostr? Wow, lots of action over on Nostr today. I'm actually going to do a bit of a short tutorial on how to get onto Nostr. If you're a Bitcoiner who's not on Nostr yet, I really think that you're making a big mistake. So I'm going to show you a new resource that was just released a couple days ago on how to easily get onto Nostr. But let's go through this here quickly. Okay, we got BTC Backpacker, we got Phoenix Falconer, we got Scotty Boy, send a few zaps. Big shout out to Duncan for the DCA, the D part of the DCA, Duncan, 3315. Thank you, Duncan. David T's here today. David T's up 420 units of freedom. Scotty Boy, Hodler, Scotty Boy, BTC Backpacker. We got Shani here today. Look at that nice zap from Shani. Shani zapped 2,121, 2121 units of freedom and said, morning, everyone. Stopped in for a zap and say hello. Jor, great interview with Robin. Love your daily habits list. Oh, yeah, I forgot to mention that. Just in case there's people watching here that haven't watched that interview yet. And he said, love the daily list. That's actually, in the Bitcoin school, it's much more than just Bitcoin security and technical stuff. It's very mindset focused. It's kind of based on the principles of like Napoleon Hill, Earl Nightingale, Jim Rohn. And I got something really special coming very soon in that regard. I'm making myself a little uncomfortable with it, but I'm going to do it. So I'll have more information on that on Friday's stream and probably next week here. But this is our guy, Robin. So this is called 10,000 Hours of Bitcoin Wisdom, How to Stack More Bitcoin Safely. So just in case you haven't watched that yet, that's Robin and myself. And Robin and I are actually going to be doing some work together in the future here, the very near future. As a bit of a teaser. Because we did get some really good feedback on that. Okay, what else? Cannon's here. Cannon's zapped 420 and zapped. First zap of the day. I try to send someone sats every day. Zapping is proof of work. It is. Cannon, actually, that's what I'm going to be talking about today, my friend. 420. Grinder's here. Grinder said if you have several inputs associated to the address, you can select a single input for your output. I don't know. Too many inputs and outputs there, Grinder. My brain's fried already. Thanks for the great info. I was panicking now until you told me not to. Yeah, don't panic. That's why I wanted to say that at the end. North Star, Camille, zapped 1,000 units of freedom and said, coffee on me. Thank you, Camille. And Duncan says, loving the privacy info. You can't get enough of that. Amen. Well, we got some people making their way back here because the show's not over. Now we check in on the chat. We got through the Nostrs. You can, let's get through here. We got cannons on both today. We got the legend Praetorian. We got another legend here, Ginger. We got another legend here, Stripes. And shout out to Praetorian here. You can see that little S there. That's a member on the channel. And same with, speaking of legends, actually, Letha's in a league of her own. We call her Letha the Icon. She's also a member of the channel. Sato Millionario. Good to see ya. Josh is on both. Sats and Sunsets on both. The gang's all here, no doubt. Jake. Is this the right place for buying dog print t-shirts? Not here, Scotty Boy. Oh, this is $1.52. I didn't realize that. Country Club Hillbilly, $1.52. Huh. No Timeless Tuesday today, actually. Sats and Sunsets. You're gonna like the announcement I'm making on Friday, though. If you're a fan of Timeless Tuesdays, and what we usually do Tuesdays at this time, we usually do Timeless Tuesday. We look at a video from Napoleon Hill, Earl Nightingale, Jim Rohn, Bob Proctor, and we kind of look at it through a Bitcoin lens, because these guys, and that's kind of what I mentioned on Robin's show. That was my advice. I said, look at old wisdom. Look at the wisdom that these guys had before the world went to shit, which was fiat. And so we're going to kind of take this old wisdom and we're going to repackage it into advice for the new world, the Bitcoin standard, a hard money standard. And so it's not just going to be on Tuesdays anymore, Sets and Sunsets. I'll give you a little bit of a teaser there. Otto, good morning. Timber Crasher, good morning. Is half a Bitcoin considered good progress for work? I would say so. Do you know how few people will have half a Bitcoin? Do you know how few people will have a tenth of a Bitcoin? Do you know how few people will have 1/100th of a Bitcoin? It's just math. It's very objective math. And I saw that Sailor bought another 22,000 coins today. 22,000 more Bitcoin Sailor bought today, which means, oh, there's something shiny in the tree. What the hell is that? Huh. Interesting. Which means there's 22,000 less whole coiners that will be around now. That's significant considering how many whole coiners exist today. Sailor just took another 22,000 whole coiners and said, sorry, I'm taking those. Because there can only be so many whole coiners, mathematically, objectively speaking. And every time you have Larry Fink or Michael Saylor or Donald Trump Jr., Eric Trump buying Bitcoin, whatever amount of Bitcoin they buy, that's essentially them taking whole coiners off the market. And so I would say, regardless of what age you are, half a Bitcoin is very, very significant. Yes. Be the Guy got released today. Not lyrics yet, though. What the hell, Scotty? Hey, Ian E. Look at this. Says, hi, Jordan gang. Happy stacking, friends. Stack and stay humble. Oh, you messed me up with that one, Ian. Stack and stay humble. Good to see you, Ian. Legend. Another legend. Solar Satoshi. Not today, Solar. I don't know what happened. I need to figure that out, though, before tomorrow's show. Sets and Sunsets. Sailor purchased another 22,000. Yes, crazy. If you lend your Bitcoin for USD, you're a part of the problem. Listen to Jeff Booth. Listen to Simon Dixon. Use Bitcoin as money. Spend and replace. Okay, well, as much as I agree with you there, curious Bitcoin, don't tell people what to do. People can use Bitcoin however they want to. You have nothing to do with it. You have no say in it, my friend, at all. It's a shame fiat loan bros are only in Bitcoin to gain more dollars. Well, you can do both. It's not one or the other. Life's not absolute. You can do both. So just take a chill pill there, bro. You'll get rugged like all the rest. Maybe not though. Like the infrastructure for that world hasn't even been, the construction hasn't even started yet for it. So it's okay. You can use Bitcoin as a medium exchange. I use it every single day. But you can also use it for a store of value. You can also use it to lend against, to buy things without having to sell it. You can do whatever you want. Don't tell people what to do. Curious, all you Canadians out there, how is Bitcoin tax for you guys when you spend? That's money. I don't pay tax on money. VHF, good morning. Flip the table like Jesus flipped the table. Gold to Bitcoin, yes. If I didn't have family that depends on me, I would totally not give the government taxes. Hey, Mark's here. Good morning, Mark. Matt FRL. Wow, everybody is here today. What a show. I think we peaked. We peaked around 65 people in the YouTube chat plus 20 people on Nostr today. So obviously not all time, because it seems like when the people who show up here are very correlated to the price of Bitcoin, which is stupid, but reality. So I'm sure once we go to 100, then 120, then 150, there'll be triple, quadruple the amount of people in here. And let that be a lesson to anybody out there who's considering buying like a hardware device or something. Because when that happens, not if, but when that happens, there's going to be tens of thousands or hundreds of thousands or millions of people all rushing to buy a hardware device at the same time because they watch their Bitcoin. Everybody still lives in the fiat world. They watch their Bitcoin go from 10,000 to 20,000 or 20,000 to 40,000 or 100,000 to 200,000. And all of a sudden they realize the need to secure this better, even though it's already worth that. The world just hasn't caught on to it yet. So that's what I would say to anybody out there who is thinking about getting a, did I share that link to Patreon? I think I did, for that free course. That's why I would say, don't wait. Don't wait for the masses to show up. Don't wait for the TV to tell you that Bitcoin's worth this before you take action. So there's a link to the CoinKite shop. CoinKite shop. So that'll save you 5%, I believe, 5% off of a cold card. I see, who is this? Duncan said, Nostr died on me. I see people dropped off there. I wonder what happened. Can anybody in Nostr hear me? Scotty said, when's the quiz? There's no quiz. No quiz. Quiz is you actually doing things properly. It's a pretty objective quiz. You do things right, you keep your Bitcoin. You do things wrong, you lose and feel shame for the rest of your life. You don't need me to ask you questions. Okay, what did I miss here? Mark, I missed one from Mark. 1650. Thank you, Mark. Thank you. He said spending now. Exactly. I use Bitcoin every single day of my life. I don't even remember the last day I didn't use Bitcoin. Wow, look at this. We got an MOB so far today. Our most outstanding Bitcoiner, MOB, Ian E, with a row of ducks, 22,222 scarce units of the hardest, best money ever made. Thank you, Ian. He said, hi, buddy. Hope all is well with you, family, and the Bitcoin Wolf. So Ian so far is the MOB for today. That makes the show worth it today. So shout out to Ian for carrying the slack here. For all the folks in the YouTube chat. At least leave a comment on the video. That's the least you can do. If you enjoyed it, if you learned anything. Silver to Bitcoin at 968. Wow, I didn't realize it was that high. 968 ounces of silver for one Bitcoin. Well, I guess. Ricky Ricardo. Haven't seen Ricky Ricardo for a while now. He says, my toilet is a 5-gallon bucket outside. My trailer roof leaks like a waterfall, and I survive on peanut butter and jelly sandwiches, but I'm still stacking mofo sats. Ricky, is that Ricky from Trailer Park Boys? The legend? One of my favorite shows, Trailer Park Boys. There it is, Sats and Sunsets. I wonder who received these. I'm going to give a shout out here if I can see it on YouTube. Actually, you know what? Let me know if you received it. Put it in the chat if you received one of these memberships from Sats and Sunsets. Very generous. Okay, Letha says I can hear you, Jor. Okay, thank you. Camille, thank you. Okay, good morning, Lauren. Good to see you, man. Haven't seen Lauren for a while. Okay, we got some people coming back in here now. We lost half when we ended the first part of the show. Look at that. Matt FRL, Ricky Ricardo, Solar Satoshis, Sharon B, and Sats and Sunsets. You got your own? Never seen that before. Ricky, new member here. And Sharon B. Sharon B must be lurking somewhere in the background. I didn't see her in here today. She got busted. Good morning, Sharon. There we go. There's newly updated Ricky Ricardo. I truly appreciate the membership. God bless this chat. Love to see that. Love to see that. VHF. We're not going to get into it today, but this is just kind of silly to me. You say I'm in Bitcoin for freedom. I don't have a number that I need to reach. That's pretty counterintuitive, pretty hypocritical in the sense that you are waiting for the price to drop to 70K before you buy, but you don't care how much you have. Those two things don't really add up. I'm not going to get into it here today. I'm just saying that those two things just don't align. Either you want a number, you want a maximum amount of sats you can get for a reason, or you're just stacking for freedom. Not there. Those two things don't go together. Bitcoin is the only system that makes sense to me after understanding how the fiat system works. There is no turning back. That's how we started the show today. Like Kevin McAllister, there's no turning back. Oh, who's this? Who's this? Oh, Arnie boy. You want to come hang out for a while? Ian just said hi to you. You must have heard Ian. There's the white wolf. Okay. Catch you later. Catch you later, buddy. Gringo. I'm stacking to make my kids' future better. Very long time horizon. There you go. David T zapped another 420 freedom units and said some V for V. Okay, so we got a couple more things I want to get to here before we even think about wrapping up the show. Again, I got to tell you the best investment you can make in 2026 is not Bitcoin. I want to give away some Bitcoin. I want to buy some Bitcoin. And I think that's it. Oh, and we'll talk about our lightning list too, a little bit more. We're all just assuming it's going to go up forever. I hope it does. No, we're not hoping. It's not a matter of hope. It's either Bitcoin goes to zero or Bitcoin goes up forever. There's no in between. There's just not. It's objective math. It goes to zero, it goes to infinity. There's no in between. And I would bet on infinity. I think it's a good idea to, if you were sitting at a poker table with Larry Fink, but it's the Larry Fink of poker, and you see him move his chips in there, or it's a different game where you're on the same team. Let's say roulette. You have somebody standing at the roulette table, the Larry Fink of roulette, and he puts his chips on 21 or 17 or 8 or 33. He puts his chips on there. This is the Larry Fink of roulette, not actual Larry Fink, the dipshit, but the Larry Fink of roulette. You're probably going to move those chips on that same spot as him. And that's exactly where we are to Bitcoin, because we have the actual Larry Fink who runs BlackRock, who controls the majority of the world's assets. He's betting on Bitcoin. He put his chips on Bitcoin. So I'd say it's a pretty safe bet. You want to bet with people like that. So it could go to zero. That's the other thing too, is it could go to zero. So that's why you shouldn't spend your whole life just chasing. You want to make sure that you're doing the right thing. You're stacking as much as you can, but you're also utilizing the most important unit, the most important currency that we have, which is time. Because imagine that. I'd say there's kind of two nightmare scenarios for Bitcoiners. Number one would be you get in right now very early, very ahead of everybody else, and you have your stack. Let's say you have half a Bitcoin, and Bitcoin plays out like we expect. Bitcoin goes to $1 million, then it goes to 2 million, then it goes to 3 million, which is really when the party starts here, because when Bitcoin hits $1 million US, that means that 1 cent is going to be equal to 1 sat. And that's what you're going to see on TV. That's what you're going to see on CoinGecko and CNN. It's not going to be 1.356921 Bitcoin. It's going to be, or million. It's going to be sats are 1 cent. You can get one sat for 1 cent right now. That's the price of Bitcoin. That's when it moves from Bitcoin to sats. And then Bitcoin goes from 1 cent to 2 cents per sat. And what just happened there? Bitcoin moved from 1 cent per sat to 2 cents per sat. What happened there? The price of Bitcoin move from 1 million to 2 million behind the scenes. I want you to think about that. I want you to think about that. Look at this. Metal Detecting England says, hello all. I hold one. Wow. Don't say that out loud. What's the best thing I can do? Just leave it on my cold wall for 10 years? Or is there anything else I can do in order for it to grow? No, it's going to grow. It won't grow in total sats, but the purchasing power is going to grow because it's a truly fixed supply. What I would do if I were you is I would spend 100% of your energy making sure you have that Bitcoin secured. Remove yourself from the equation. Remove your house from the equation. Remove your recovery phrase from the equation. All you have to do is hang on to that and you win. You've done the hard part here, or you've done what very, very, very few people have done. Now you got to focus all your time and energy on securing that Bitcoin. And I want you to send me an email too. If you're kind of like, you're just keeping it on a cold storage with your 12 words written down, maybe on steel in your house, I want you to reach out to me because that's a very, very, very significant amount. And you need to be serious with this. You shouldn't have one single point of failure there. You should have multi-sig. You should have your backups encrypted. You should have an inheritance plan for that. You don't have to do anything to make it grow. You just need to make sure that you have that once it's grown. You need to make sure that you have access to that private key when it has grown. So that's what I help people with. So I would be happy to help you if you need. Exactly. VHF. All you need to do is not lose it. Bingo. Bingo, bingo, bingo. Oh my gosh. I don't even want to show this comment here. Okay, well, he doesn't have his name in his comment, but I think this is a really good example of literally why I show up here every day. So if he had his name in here, I don't know what I would do, but his name's not in here. We're not doxing anything here, but it's on my ledger hidden in my safe somewhere. So number one, I'm going to give you 3 things that's wrong with this scenario here. 3 things, maybe 4 is a bonus. So anybody who's storing their Bitcoin on Ledger, listen up here, please. So number 1, the issue with this, and this is the kind of stuff I talk about in the course that I shared there for free. This is the kind of stuff I talk about in Bitcoin School every single day, but I'm going to give you 4 reasons why this is horrible. Number 1, you have your ledger in the safe. I'm guessing you have and this is maybe an assumption, but I'm guessing you have your recovery phrase also in that same house. And if somebody breaks into it, or it burns down, or it floods, or something happens to it, whatever rips through, and you had all your Bitcoin, both your device and your recovery phrase in that one house, your Bitcoin's gone. So that's why you want to remove the single point of failure there for that reason. Number 2 is I made this mistake for a couple of years, so I'm not claiming I'm perfect here, but I learned my lesson with this. You should never keep anything to do with your Bitcoin in a safe. You should never keep anything to do with your Bitcoin in a safe. And you might say, well, Jor, what happens if my house burns down? Well, you shouldn't have your device and your recovery phrase in the same place. That was point number 1. And here's the thing. If somebody breaks into your house, where's the first place they're going? You're essentially just telling the criminal, who's probably not there to get your Bitcoin, telling you, hey, here's my device. Here's my 12 words. I have Bitcoin. Because again, somebody breaks into your house, they're probably not after your Bitcoin. They're probably after your flat screen TV or your MacBook or your cash sitting on the counter or your safe. And so essentially what you're doing by putting your ledger in your safe is telling the criminal, hey, I have Bitcoin. So that's number 2. Number 3, Ledger, if you bought it from Ledger, the company, they had numerous leaks this year, last year, prior to that. Somebody out there has your home address. They know you have a Ledger. That's another problem. It's a big problem. And that single point of failure, if something goes wrong with your Ledger or your 12 words or both, your Bitcoin's gone. So what I would suggest here, and this is what I would advise you to do, would be to, first things first, get that Ledger out of the safe. Take your Ledger and put it somewhere away from your house, whether that's at work with a trusted friend or family member. Get it away from your house. Keep your private key or your recovery phrase in a very safe place. Then get a multi-sig set up. Get yourself a cold card, at least add a passphrase in the meantime, and then move into a multi-sig. You don't understand what you're holding here. That's so significant. And that's what I'm saying for anybody who even has half a Bitcoin. You should be getting set up with a multi-sig for these reasons. Because that's what I was saying there's two nightmare scenarios for people. Number one, you wake up in 20 years from now after having one Bitcoin in 2026, gone. How would you feel? Second part, if something happens, a black swan event happens in Bitcoin and it goes to zero. You spent all this time, all this energy working your ass off, wasting the best years of your life, turn to zero. So number one, make sure you focus on security. And number two, make sure you focus on enjoying yourself. Because the real currency, the only currency that's real in life is time. Nobody can steal it from you. You can't get it back. You can't make more of it. That's what you need to be focused on. Then you're safe from both. You focus on your security, you're going to have your Bitcoin in 20 years from now. You focus on enjoying yourself, you're not going to have any regrets. Even if it went to zero, you enjoyed yourself. You spend time with friends, family, doing things you love. Can't lose. Okay. Exactly. Sats and Sunsets has attended Bitcoin school. It's the first thing a thief takes. Okay. You also need to make sure your address cannot be destroyed by water or fire. Yep. We'll put them in two different places. Note, and this is the problem with metal plates too, and this is a whole nother conversation. But if you have your seed phrase stamped on a metal plate, it might be safe from fire, but it's not safe from somebody finding it and literally typing 12 words into their device and taking your Bitcoin. There's so much that goes into this. And again, I'm not sitting up here claiming to be perfect. These are lessons I've learned. This is knowledge I've accrued. And I've been there. I had my Bitcoin wallet in a safe, my device in a safe. I had my seed words stamped on metal. But I've learned the problem with these through the years, just by thinking about this stuff every day. So I would highly suggest, what was the name of that? Metal Detecting England. Reach out, man. Let's set up a call. Let's make sure that you have that Bitcoin safe and secure. Camille says, if you store it in a really, really cold place, no one will think of looking there and it will survive a fire. It's a good point. Sato Millionaire says, are there any Hispanics here in the chat? Think about why we are stacking Bitcoin and why are we freezing our nuts in Canada? And yes, that's the first rule in Bitcoin. Actually, that's our rule for this. Our number one reminder here for this show is never tell anyone how much Bitcoin you have. Even if you set up a call with me, I'll never ask you how much Bitcoin you have. And if you try to tell me, I'm going to say, don't tell me how much Bitcoin you have. I don't want to know. You shouldn't tell anybody how much Bitcoin you have. Bitcoins don't exist, so none of us can have any. That's true. You only have access to the private key to move that Bitcoin. It's a good point. It's a good point. Liam says, I'll probably make it one Bitcoin this year, but I feel unsure how to get wealthy unless I sell it. Well, that's why you lend against it, my friend. Or you get so much Bitcoin that you create so much value to the world that you have so much coming back to you in the form of fiat, Bitcoin, whatever it is coming back to you, that you can't spend enough to keep up with that. That's what you want to get to. Lady Boomer, look at this. She says really great information. So necessary. Thank you. Well, thank you, Lady Boomer. Nice to see you in the chat. Thanks for the love. Thanks for the support. You could have a cold wallet with only an 8-word seed phrase and forget it or lose it. You could have a tangent wallet with 24-word and a passphrase secured with integrity. If you're making public videos on YouTube, you can have a huge target on your back too. Yeah, no shit. Think that I haven't thought of this? If you came to my house right now and tried to get Bitcoin, you might get some on my phone. I got a cold card queue right here, but it wouldn't be worth your time. My Bitcoin is geographically dispersed in different places. You'd have to drive me and fly me to my different private keys to get it. So I'm already there, man. I'm already, I'm well aware of this. I'm well aware of this. Don't worry about that. But you'd at least get to see Arnie if you tried breaking in here. Do you go into how you change the size of UTXOs? Yeah, I mean, you consolidate them. So if you had, like I mentioned in the example there, where we had 50 UTXOs and you consolidate that, you essentially just move it to yourself. So you set up a transaction, you include all those 52 UTXOs, you move it to a different address. That's a consolidation. So you turn those 52 into one. And you don't want to do vice versa, I don't think. You don't want to start splitting them up. That's why I said don't panic. Just in the future, start doing things a little bit differently. But yes, the course, the Bitcoin School, will have several different episodes talking about UTXOs for sure. It's a very important part to understand here in Bitcoin. J-Dog, good to see you, my friend. The common opinion is to have at least 1 million sats because with 100,000 sats, it might not be able to move those sats in the future. No. See, this is where they get it wrong. This is where they get it wrong because they're basically saying the transaction fees will be so high that it won't make economic sense to move Bitcoin because it'll cost you so much. So people are going to assume that it's going to cost you 60,000 sats to move 100,000 sats. That's essentially what they're saying. But if you understand, if we get to a point where the network is that much in demand, what do you think a sat's going to be worth? Nobody's going to pay $600 or $6,000 or $60,000 to move Bitcoin. Those sats go up in value. The transaction fees will actually come down in sats terms. In fiat value, they might be the same. It might cost you like 50 cents, $1, $1.50. But in sats, the transaction fees are going to come way down. So if it costed you, in other words, if it costed you, we're going to go to microsats, we're going to go to millisats. In other words, if it costed you 1,000 sats to move 100,000 sats today, my guess it would be in 20 years from now, it probably costs you 10 sats to move 100,000 sats. But the value of those sats are going to be much, much more than they are today. That's what everybody gets mixed up here. And I guess it makes sense if you just look at it from one angle of like, yeah, it's going to get busier and fees are going to go up, but you're not considering the fact that the value of those sats are also going to go up. And nobody's going to pay $6,000 to move Bitcoin. So the fees are actually going to come down in sats terms. They'll go up probably or stay the same in fiat terms, but in sats terms, they're going to come way down. Somebody sent in 888 units of freedom to Arnie Boy. So thank you, whoever that was. I didn't, those don't show up in the Zap stream. Paulie V, minus 13 in Toronto today. Adam's here. Good morning, Adam. We got 89.9K Bitcoin. Nice. Good day to buy. Perfect for the smash buy today. Always wondered how the cops would handle a reported wrench attack. Yeah, me too. I don't think they would do much. And I actually made a video here. Let me show you. This is one of the videos I made on Bitcoin School the other day. This was day 17. This is the kind of stuff we talk about in Bitcoin School. So we set our goal at the start of the year. We look at it every day. And this is kind of what I talked about in the in day 17 here, that you are the bank. There's a lot of power. There's a lot of sovereignty that comes with holding Bitcoin, especially in self-custody. It's the only power there, self-custody. So you're the bank, but that comes with a lot of responsibility. You're the bank, which means you need bank level security for your Bitcoin. But even better, if you think about how well the banks secure their building, their assets, everything, you need to do better than bank level security, because you're the only party here involved. If a bank got robbed, all the members of that bank would absorb the costs of the robbery, or it would be insured. So if somebody breaks into your house and steals your Bitcoin, you're the only one affected there. Your reserves are not insured. They might be one day, but they're not today. So the bank gets robbed, they have insurance for that. You get robbed, you don't have insurance for that. And the difference is, think about how a bank secures themselves. They're holding nothing. They're holding thin air. You're holding something that's real, the hardest money that's ever existed in human history before. That's what you're holding. The banks don't hold that. They're holding thin air. And you're holding something of real value. So you need to think about all this kind of stuff. So, I mean, I'm not going to tell you what to do, but this is the kind of stuff we talk about in the Bitcoin school. And it's very detailed every day. We don't take any shortcuts with it. So it is. If you're serious about this stuff, consider, like George did today, joining either the YouTube tier for Bitcoin School or joining our Bitcoin School. And the nice thing about actually joining the Bitcoin School is that you get to talk with other people. You get to interact. You get to see what other people are talking about, what other people are asking. So in YouTube, it's a little less expensive. I think it's like $8 a month US for the Bitcoin School in YouTube. And on school, it's more money, but you get access to the community. We're going to be doing live sessions. You can read the comments, what other people are saying, what other people are asking, what other people are posting about, just not outside of the Bitcoin School. So that's what I would say, George. If you, I don't know if you're aware of it, but we also have this school.com/88sats. So you get all the same videos, but you get the community aspect of it. So it costs a little bit more, but if it's worth it to you. So big shout out to George, our newest member on the channel here. Okay, what did I miss here? Oh, Polly, that was from you. I kind of figured that, but usually you leave a message with it. So I didn't see anything there. So thank you, Polly. That is, if you've been learning anything, you don't want to join the community, you don't want to join as a member, but you want to give some value back, you can use Arnie's wallet here, like Ian did and like Polly D did. So thank you, Polly. Thank you, Daisy. Sin Diesel says, Nostr Rumble feed shit the bed on me again today. Thought the stream already ended. Anyhow, good morning, good people. Good to see you, Sin. Sin Diesel, my man. Okay, well, we're 2 hours into this. I got a little bit of time still if we want to keep going. I got a couple more things I want to talk about. I don't want to go too long, though, because people see a 2 hour stream. They're like, well, I'm not wasting my time with that. Okay, Praetorian, George. Okay, let's give away some free Bitcoin. How about that? Well, somebody just joined the school page. I heard a little ka-ching. Good. It will be and I said this before, but if you go through the Bitcoin School for a year, you can buy a year membership to it. It's criminally underpriced. And it will be going up too before the course starts. But if you joined and you weren't satisfied with what you got for the year from school, I will refund you 100% of your money. I am 1,000,000% confident that you will get way more value from the course than you pay for it. So there it is right there. And shout out to whoever just ka-ching there, the newest member over there. But let's give away some Bitcoin. Lauren says school is worth it. There's a lot of people in the school community. Praetorian, Sin, Pauly D. You get to talk with other Bitcoiners, man. I don't think people realize the importance of just having people you can talk to about Bitcoin with. Through the highs, through the lows, through the questions and issues that arise. Having a community in Bitcoin is truly invaluable. Okay, so let's give away some Bitcoin here, like we did last week. I'm going to flash a QR code on the screen, and the first person to scan it is going to win some sats here, courtesy of our friends at Bitcoin Well. So we'll do a couple of these babies. Here's the first one. I got to charge my phone. $657. There's a biggie. I'll zoom in for you so it's a little bit easier for you. $657. That's a big win. $657 in the future. Okay, and I kind of mentioned it off the top of the show here, but if you're watching this on YouTube today, I don't really care if you like the stream, if you subscribe to the channel. I don't really give a shit. But if you enjoyed it, if you learned anything today, consider leaving a comment. If you can't support the show financially, consider at least leaving a comment and just saying thanks or saying that you enjoyed it or something. Those actually do matter. And if you want to join as a member on the channel, you get access to all the Bitcoin School videos as well. So there's the first one. Congrats to everyone that. If you want to put in the chat if you want. If not, it's up to you. Let's do another one here. So again, you got to open up your Lightning wallet, whether that's Wallet, Satoshi, Speed, Rizful. Wow, another big one, 682. And you actually press send instead of receive. And then you can scan it. No, somebody got it before me there. You guys are quick. You guys are quick. 682, congratulations, whoever won that. Praetorian says, agreed 100%, learn at a much faster pace in school. Yeah, kind of going back to what I was saying before, is like people just don't know what they don't know. So you have unlimited amount of free information on YouTube. I even have a free course for people helping getting into Bitcoin. And you can ask AI anything. But the problem is you don't really know what you're asking. You don't know what you don't know. That's the whole problem. And so if you value your Satoshis and your Bitcoin, then consider. And Lauren says, still like and share. Yeah, okay. I appreciate it, Lauren. I appreciate you, my friend. But likes and subscribes don't really mean a whole lot to me. We want to get this information in front of as many people as possible. 497, the third and final one here. So big shout out. You know what? We'll do one more. We'll do one more. Because we had a good show today. And there's still a lot of people here after 2 hours, so I'll reward you guys and girls. Looks like Sats and Sunsets picked up one of those, 657. So who got 497? Courtesy of Bitcoin Well, the best place to buy Bitcoin in Canada. One more. Okay, big one. Biggie. They made some changes, I think, or they're going to. Wow. I don't know if anybody wants that one. I've never seen that before. That's a bad omen. We cannot end with that one. We're going to have to do a fifth spin, or a fifth toss, I should say. So all these sats are courtesy of our friends at Bitcoin Well. Like I said, the best place to buy Bitcoin if you're in Canada. Also available in the US, but there's a little bit more options in the US. I really like River, but they have different needs. You could probably use both Bitcoin Well and River for different things. Bitcoin Well is great they have free swaps. You can set up recurring buys. You can use Lightning. You can pay bills. A lot of really good features on Bitcoin Well. And I'm pretty sure if you sign up for an account with my link here, you get 5 free tosses into the well. So you get a bunch of free sats just for signing up with this link. I think you have to buy like $100 worth of Bitcoin. So that's Bitcoin Well. I'll put River in there too. I love River. We don't have any contest from them, but I love River. I love what they're doing there. Mostly because they show proof of reserves and they have supercharged buys. So we'll do one more. I wonder if anybody actually scanned that. I wouldn't want to scan that. But somebody's like, fuck it. I don't care. I'm scanning it. Sorry for the language there. I'm used to being on different platforms here. Okay, we got to do another one here because we can't end on 666. That's horrible. Biggie. 381. Okay. Better than 666. Paulie says, great chat, great live chat on the Visionaries channel with Alex C on the weekend discussing Graphene OS. We all learned from each other there. Yeah, and actually, you know what I might do? I might do this. Actually, anybody who's joined the school already, I'm going to send you a free invite link to the Bitcoin Citadel school, because there's so much good information in there from Craig, from Noah, from Mike, from Daniel, from Alex, as mentioned there. And I'll give you a free membership to that. Anybody who signs up today for the Bitcoin School, school.com, 88 sats, I'll give you a free membership, which we charge $100 to get in there. I'll give you a free membership to our Bitcoin Citadel community if you want it. That's my offer to you for today. Can't say I don't give you anything. So if you want, if you do end up joining, just shoot me a message and say, hey, I want access to Bitcoin School. So Bitcoin School, there's a ton of resources for security, for Graphene OS, for Linux, for living on a Bitcoin standard, for businesses accepting Bitcoin, a ton of stuff in there. So we'll include that today if you join the Bitcoin School on today or tomorrow. I'm in case there's people who watch these streams later, I'll do it today or tomorrow. And anybody who's already joined there too, you can shoot me an email. I don't want to leave people out, that's for sure. Because there's a ton of good information in Bitcoin Citadel 1. Okay. Well, we got Nostr still going, it looks like. We got 10 people over there. I think Nostr's acting up for me today. And it sounds like it is for others as well. What else did I want to say here? What do we got for time? I mean, it's true. At some point, you just gotta look in the mirror and say, you know, I'm not doing things that don't make any sense anymore. Like I'm not paying tax on money. That just makes no sense. And the worst thing is that, like, the whole capital gains bullshit. Capital gains is the biggest scam besides income taxes that exists, because basically they punish people for saving. You have a house, that house goes up in price and you sell it. They make you pay tax on that. The only reason it went up is because they printed more money. They stole more from you. So they're not done there yet. They're not just like, okay, well, we printed a bunch of money. We drove up the housing prices. We stole all that from you. But now we're also going to make you pay tax on that. We created that gain artificially, and now you're going to have to pay tax on that. Good luck. Unrealized, yes, that's true. Unrealized is worse. But even so, like, and maybe I'll talk about this, because I really don't think a lot of Bitcoiners put a lot of thought into this. And I don't have all the answers to this. I'm still kind of working through this myself right now. But let's say that you have, let's say that you're a millennial like me, and you have parents who you told them to convert some of their savings into Bitcoin. And baby boomers would be our parents, or the, you know, a little generation higher than that, whatever they're called. I think they're the silent generation. I don't know. But they got some Bitcoin. What happens if they unexpectedly passed away? What happens if you unexpectedly pass away? Your Bitcoin's going to go to your estate. All that information is going to be public knowledge through the court system. All of it. If you haven't set up an inheritance plan, if you haven't worried about this stuff legally, if you haven't set up a trust, all this stuff's going to go through your estate, and that estate's going to get taxed. Which means, let's say that your uncle or your whoever you'd be getting, you know, whoever you told to buy Bitcoin, your mom, your dad, they bought Bitcoin. They got it at $50,000. It's now worth $500,000. They pass away unexpectedly. You have to pay tax on that. You have to pay tax on the difference between 50,000 and 500,000. And so therefore, you're either going to have to sell the Bitcoin to pay the government, or you're going to have to come up with like $100,000 to give to the government. So there are consequences to inaction. And again, I'm kind of working through this stuff myself right now. I don't have everything. I have my security set up, but I don't have all my inheritance and trust and legal stuff set up yet. So you really got to be paying attention to this stuff because life is very unexpected, very unexpected. And so what I would say is, like, again, I don't have all the answers. I think the 21 sats protocol that we have is the best that exists in Bitcoin. And that's part of it. We look at the inheritance plan. That's a big part of the 21 sats protocol: inheritance, security, and also setting up a trust, other things to essentially alleviate anything like this that would happen in the future. Because could you imagine having to come up with $100,000 to give the government because your parents passed away and they had Bitcoin? Or you have to sell their Bitcoin to pay the tax bill for it? There's much more to Bitcoin than just buying and watching the price go up. There are so many things that you have to worry about. And I don't even think 88 lessons is enough for it. Every time I think I found a few free minutes, George sends out a new video series. I think it's so important, Lauren. I think that, again, this channel, this show, everything that I do here is for the average people, to help them understand, to help them secure it, and to help them pass it down to their kids. Okay, where was I going there? Where was I going next? I forget now. Oh, yeah. I wanted to, wow, we're 2 hours into this already. I want to share this resource for everybody. This is going to be your homework for next week. If you're, like I said earlier, if you're in Bitcoin and you're not on Nostr yet, you are doing yourself a serious disservice. And I'll give you a bit of credit because up until now, up until a couple of days ago, it wasn't the easiest thing to figure out. But it cannot get more simple than this. So you go to joinnosr.com. And I'm gonna sweeten the pot here a little bit too. Go to joinnosr.com. This is where it's going to take you. You go to get started. Ready? Yes. Let's go. And it says, before we start, would you like to see how this new world works? I'm going to say, show me. Your account belongs to you. Your Nostr account, your NPub belongs to you, not a company. Nobody can delete your profile or take your voice away. And you can talk to anyone, anywhere, without filters. A protocol for everyone, owned by no one. What does that sound like? So I'm just going to go through the process here. So I'm just going to put an account. You can always change this after. Create profile. And these are the two things that you need to have. You need to keep your NPub because there's no usernames in Nostr. You can change the username anytime you want to. There could be 1,088 sats out there, but this is your identifier. This is how people are going to find you. Your NPub, it's called. So you want to write this down, or you want to, I actually have written mine down because, just in case. But you want to keep a copy of this. Keep it simple. Put it in your password manager, your NPub, and your secret key. So your public address, just kind of like a Bitcoin address, that's what you share with people. If they want to follow you or find you on Nostr, you share your NPub. If you want to jump between different Nostr applications, so there's Primal, there's Damus, there's Amethyst, there's Nostr, there's Nostria, there's Yakioni, there's a ton of different ones. And you can take, this is what makes Nostr so cool, is you can take this NSEC and you can bounce between, and everything will look the exact same for you. You'll have your people that you're following, the people that are following you, all your posts will show up. The only thing different between clients or applications is the features. So some are better for like photos, some are better for videos. Like Zapstream, this is a video client. But you can take your NSEC and you can actually log into Zapstream with it. So that's what you want to save. You want to keep a copy of both your NPub and your NSEC. Very important. So you say, I've saved it. And then we'll put display name, 88 sats. Now, just a guy living in the woods, trying to help the average person secure their wealth and escape the time stealers and have some fun. There you go. Confirm. So now my profile set up. Again, I have my npub, which is how people find me. I have my nsec, which is how I log into different applications on Nostr. And that's what you want to have. So then it recommends you can follow these accounts. You can follow them all. It's a pretty good start. So I'll say skip, but I would suggest following these because you have to follow people on Nostr. So it says your first post, just joined the decentralized web. No algorithms, no ads, just freedom. Nostr. Publish. You can customize that, obviously. But now here's the cool part. It actually tells you what client to use, which application to use. And it asks, are you on iPhone? And it points you towards Primal or Damus. It asks you, are you on Android? Then you can use Amethyst or Yakioni. These are the two that I use every day. And if you're using it on desktop, you can use jumble.social or Primal Web. So again, that NSEC that they gave you, that's what you need to keep safe. Treat it like your Bitcoin private keys, because then you could go into Jumble Social. You could put in that NSEC into there and you could log into that same account. You go to Primal on the web, NSEC, same account. So you don't have to go between. Like imagine if you could have a username and password for Instagram, Twitter, YouTube, and it was all kind of a community based around that npub or that account. And you didn't have to follow new people. You didn't have to do different things. You didn't have to subscribe over here. That's what Nostr is. So what I'm going to tell you here, I'm going to give a bit of anybody who joins Nostr between today and next show, send me your npub. So if you can figure out how to get set up, again, join nostr.com, send me an email, send me your npub. I'll follow you, and I'll also give some shout outs on the show next week. And I might even zap you. If you set up things properly. If not, I might point you how to do it. But if you're new to Nostr, if you just joined, send me, or even if you're, you follow me, but I don't follow you, shoot me an email with your npub. I'll follow you, and we'll highlight some new Nostr users next week. Oh, what's Arnie up to? Doing something back there. Oh, gone. Here and gone. Okay. What else? I missed some comments here. No complaints. We appreciate all you're doing. Okay. Thanks, Lauren. Sociology Reader. Does Nostr have a phone app or is it only on PC? It's both. Just kind of what we looked at there. It's available on the phone, the iPad, the Android, the desktop. These are all different applications, but the key is that you can use your NSEC, your account, and you can sign into all these different ones. Was busy trying to talk sense into friends on the XRP army. Yikes. I can never figure out how to hook up a wallet. Well, you're probably using the wrong client because some are hard. Primal's hard. I wouldn't suggest people start with Primal. The last couple places, let me bring this up again. The last couple places that I've got people onto Nostr, I use the Yakioni. If you use Yakioni, they actually set you up with a wallet in the app. You can obviously connect your Lightning wallet after and receive to a different wallet and send from a different wallet, but they actually create you a wallet within the app, which is really cool. I think they're the only client that does that. Yeah, both Amethyst and Yakioni are the best for Android. That's both the ones that I use. Solar says, you're doing so much for humanity day after day. Wow. That's as good as Bitcoin to me, Solar. I appreciate that, buddy. We're trying. We're trying our best. And that's at the end of the day, I think that's all you can do. Because like we talked about yesterday on the show, it's hard, But we do have the power here to change the direction. We do. People might not think that, but we do. And if I didn't believe that, I sure as shit wouldn't be showing up here every morning on not even on YouTube anymore. But the people, oh, look at this. Who's that? 2,100 sats. 2,100 units of freedom somebody just sent over on Nostr. Noah zapped 2,100 units of freedom and said, hi, Jor, happy Tuesday. Hello, Noah. Great to see you. And Bitcoin Baby's here too. Holy moly. Well, we're just wrapping up. We've been here for 2 hours and 15 minutes, and I'm starting to lose my voice a little bit. And I still got to do a bunch of videos for Bitcoin School. So let's do our smash buys. Scotty's still here. I see the zaps have slowed down from Scotty, so I don't know if he's still here or not. But we're going to do our weekly smash buy here. So we do this every single day on the show, on the daily show. We do one of these every single day. And we've been doing it also on the weekly show on Tuesdays, the 88 lessons. So this is what? We're the 20th today. Little Shania Twain playing in the background. Oh, this is the wrong year though, dummy. Wrong year. Anyways, I'll fix that after. I'm not going to waste your time. So I don't know if Scotty's still here or not. He usually tells me where we're at. I think we're down though. And we'll see just how down we are right now. We might be really down, which is going to be an expensive day. We are. I don't even know if I have that much. I don't. So I'm going to do $21 today. The biggest buy on the show so far. So the whole thesis with this is that we do this every day, or if you're a YouTube watcher, every week. But either way, it doesn't matter how much you buy. You could buy $1 worth, 50 cents worth, 10 cents worth. It doesn't matter how much you buy. The only thing that matters is that you buy and that you do it very consistently. And that's why we do this every single day. So I'm going to trade 21 units of illusion for 20. We'll see how many I get here. 21 units of illusion. How much am I going to get? That's why it's good when the price goes down, especially when you're buying. Okay, so for that 21 units of illusion, I got 16,619 units of scarcity, units of freedom, FUs, as we call them, 16,619. 16,619. And the thesis here is that one day one of these sats will have the purchasing power of $1, which means that I just traded $21 today for $16,000 in the future. That's a pretty good trade. That's a pretty damn good trade. So 21 units of illusion for 16,000 units of the hardest money that humankind has ever seen before. So if you're in Canada, I use ShakePay every week. I send like $100 on there to do these daily smash buys. And if you're in the US, I recommend using River for that. And the cool thing about River is while your cash is sitting there, you're actually going to earn some interest on it in Bitcoin. I think ShakePay has that too. I don't have it set up though, because I don't think they pay in Bitcoin. But there's the two options for you. River, ShakePay. That's how I do this. So I send like $100 every week, and then I buy every day based on what the price is doing. So when the price is up, you buy a little bit less. When the price is even, you buy a normal amount. When it's down, you buy more. So this is kind of like an intelligent way to buy. And if this is of interest to you, make sure you show up every day for the daily show. We do it every day. People like J-Dog got 8,900 sats for a cheeky £6, which is pounds in the UK. Sats and Sunsets, look at this. Even a little, wasn't enough to buy memberships for 5 people, but also got a $2 super chat there and said 55,000 for $50. Mark got 39,000 for $50 Canadian. And this is why I like doing this, because it shows that there's no price of Bitcoin. There's only exchange rates. And so Rich got 30,000 for 25 euros, and Praetorian got 51,000 freedom units for 47 USD. So I mentioned at the start of the show here that I was going to tell you the best investment that you can make in 2026 that isn't Bitcoin. And it's actually the reverse of Bitcoin. It's sending other people Bitcoin. And so whether you're on Nostr today or you end up joining because of the little tutorial we just did there, the best investment that you can make is meeting other people on Nostr and sending them some zaps, sending them some sats. And I've been on Nostr for just about 3 years. I'm coming up on my 3-year anniversary. And it's been a slow grind because there's been just people coming on, people leaving, people coming on, people leaving. Every time it seems like they crack down on YouTube or Twitter, there's a bunch of people that go to Nostr and then they just fade out. Because it takes work. It's not an easy thing. There's no algorithm there that's going to show you everything that you want. You got to put in the work on there. And so what I would suggest is people like Jeff Booth, people like Matt Odell, people like, who else is on there? Preston Pish. The real Bitcoiners. I would call the real Bitcoiners are on Nostr. And so if you send them a zap, you're going to get their attention. If it's a big zap, you're definitely going to get their attention. If I make a post on Nostr and somebody likes it or leaves a little thing on there, I don't even look at it. It's nothing. Likes are nothing. Likes are very fiat. They're a complete illusion. But if you send somebody real value, you're going to get their attention. And it's a good way to say thank you if they've been doing stuff that you like. You wanted to help spread their message, support them. So the best investment that you can make in 2026 is finding people on Nostr that you like to support, and sending them some sats. And that's a cool thing about Nostr is that you can send Bitcoin peer-to-peer without any sort of middleman there. And Gigi, great. How did I forget Gigi? This whole show is dedicated to Gigi. And Gigi, Jeff Booth, Gigi, the real Bitcoiners, they're on Nostr only. Odell, they're on Nostr only. And so you can, if you want to get somebody's attention, if you want to meet them, if you want them to follow you, if you want to present an idea to them, don't send them an email. Don't leave a comment on their YouTube video. Send them a zap. Howlend. I don't know what the hell that means. Speak English if you want English back. Okay. We're going to round things out here. We got the reminders. I think that's it. Did I miss anything? Next show is going to be Tuesday, January 27th at the same time. I like this time, actually. Usually I do in the afternoon, but we had a good crowd today. So for the lightning list, and actually the other thing I was going to mention with the lightning list is I was going to do a draw today for that, for the black Bitcoin King hat. But I'm going to do it when we get to 88 people on there. Once we fill up the list, we're going to do a draw. Might as well, instead of doing it now and then more people joining after, we're just going to let the list fill up to 88, and then I'll draw for that hat. So if you want to join the lightning list, you just got to send your lightning address to 88sats@proton.me. Not a lightning invoice, not a Bitcoin address, a lightning address. It should say something like jor@risful.com. I don't want an invoice. I can't do anything with an invoice. So it should be your static Bitcoin address. That's what you want to send. For the UTXO template, if you want a copy of that, you can email 88sats@proton.me with UTXO in subject line. And the last one there, joining Nostr. Shoot me an email, send your NPUB to 88sats@proton.me. And if you don't hear from me for a couple of days, I don't check every day. I usually do it on either Saturday or Sunday. So that's when I was sending out some sats to everybody on the lightning list last week. So there you go. Send me your NPUB and I'll give you a shout out. I'll follow you and might even give you a zap. So here's our weekly reminders. Number one, we learned this lesson today. I don't know if Metal left but I had some good advice from him. I don't know if you even heard it. But never tell anyone how much Bitcoin you have. Anyone. No matter how close they are, no matter how much you trust them, no matter how many beers you've had, do not tell anyone how much Bitcoin you have. And maybe that's our number one lesson for today. Because when you tell people things related to money, it's very psychological. It imprints into in their mind forever. I'm sure you've had experiences with that before. Somebody told you how much they make or how much they have in their bank account, and it surprised you because it's a different kind of trigger in your brain. So when you tell somebody how much Bitcoin you have, they will never forget that. And it might not be worth very much today, but they're never going to forget that. And you're just going to put a huge target on your back. The fiat price is completely irrelevant, especially for people who are here today. Anytime you can, trade your fake money for real money. Make sure your signing device, as we were talking about also with metal before, make sure your signing device is in a separate location from your 12 or 24 words. Imperative if you value your Bitcoin. 2 is 1, 1 is none. This is the case for exchanges. That's why I say even if you have an account at Strike already, get an account at River. If you're with ShakePay, get an account at Bitcoin Well. Have 3 of them. Because you want to, even if you only use one on a regular basis, make sure you have 3 accounts set up. Because it's a backup. You want to have access to your account whenever you need it. And whenever you really need it, a lot of exchanges go down for maintenance. It's happened to me several times, and I've learned my lesson. But that's a case for passphrases, for data, for passwords, for photos, for videos. 2 is 1, 1 is none. Because if you have 1 and you lose it, you have none. If you have 2 and you lose 1, you still have 1. And then you make another backup. The key to wealth is multiple streams of sats. Get as many of these as you can. Multiple streams of income. And this is actually a big part of the Bitcoin School course. Obviously, a big focus on security. We want to have everybody in a multi-sig at the end of it. But we're also going to make sure that everybody has 8 streams of income by the end of this year. So it's not just Bitcoin focus. It's not just Bitcoin technical stuff. There's more to it. There's mindset, there's tools, resources, and we want to make sure that people are earning sats, not just storing. All that matters is that you have more sats on December 31st at the end of the year than you had on January 1st. And if you can do that for 10 years, on December 31st, you have more sats than you had on January 1st, you win. It's really that simple. If you can protect them, you win. It's much easier to steal your Bitcoin from Singapore than fly in your house. Everybody's worried about their $5 wrench attacks, and we have our 21 sats security inheritance protocol to protect against that. But you also want to make it hard for you to access, right? Because there's going to be people, as Bitcoin goes up in value, becomes more mainstream, there's going to be a lot of people trying to get your Bitcoin, and they're not going to come to your house. They're going to try to social engineer you or hack you or trick you. So you got to keep this top of mind. And you want to make sure that it's difficult for even you to spend your Bitcoin. And finally, we are right about Bitcoin. Weather the storms, regardless of the fiat price, regardless of the FUD, the quantum nonsense. We are right about Bitcoin. And so you just got to hold on. You got to protect it. You got to hold on. And I would consider joining a community to have some friends and some companionship along the way. Need UTXO managing advice? Well, you can rewatch the show today. I talked about UTXOs for about half an hour. But again, join Bitcoin School. I'll put the link one more time in here. I'm probably going to do about 5 or 6 shows throughout the year talking about UTXOs and how to think about them, how to prepare for it, how to manage them. And that's all going to be in our Bitcoin School, which is right here. So there, it's very, again, criminally underpriced, going up. And if you didn't get the value that you paid for it, I will give you 100% of your money back. That's my promise. Kind of in another stream, no problem, no problem. If we are right about Bitcoin, we are blessed beyond what we all can comprehend. Yeah, we are right about Bitcoin, not if. So yeah, protect your Bitcoin. And if you're somebody who's going to bed every night and wondering whether or not my sats are still there or they're going to be there tomorrow, invest some time. Invest in a course like Bitcoin School. invest to pay somebody like me to help you get set up properly. Because again, it does not matter how much Bitcoin you have today. The only thing that matters is how much Bitcoin your family has in 50 years from now. And you're the one responsible for it. You're the one here right now. You're the one who's got to build this foundation. And you want to make sure that that foundation is rock solid. So that's why we do the Bitcoin course, the Bitcoin school every single day, because we don't want to leave any gaps in that foundation. Okay, that's it. Letha got 23,000 freedom units for $21 and she's zapped 1,000. Oh, and Noah said American Huddle's also on Nostr. That's right. He's Nostr only. And David T's zapped 420 and got 23,000 freedom units for $21 US. So that's it. Again, don't care if you like, don't care if you subscribe, but consider joining one of the communities. If you want to send some value back here, you can send it to Arnie, or you can send it to jor@rizfold.com. And if you don't have the financial means, leave a comment under the video. If you learned anything on this show today that you think other people would benefit from, leave a comment. Let other people know that you enjoyed, that you learned something. Because again, we are all here. Everybody here. Every one of us. No matter where we are, no matter what we're doing, no matter how much Bitcoin we have, everybody here is on Team Bitcoin. We're all working together. We need to support each other, and we are going to win this. It's amazing what can be accomplished here when everybody is moving together in the same direction and nobody gives a shit who gets the credit for it. We're building something special here, so I encourage you, show up every day, join the community, and take this seriously. That's it. Scotty, you missed it. Yes, we were down. We got 16,000 sats today, buddy. So thanks again, everybody. Thanks for all the support. Thanks for the love. And we'll talk to you either tomorrow or next week. Thanks, everybody.